many years ago, back when I wasn't even born yet. One time, my dad was driving along a desert highway. The temperature that day soared to nearly 40 degrees Celsius. It was unbearably hot, so much so that even the shade felt stifling. Just as he was feeling restless from the heat, my dad noticed someone by the roadside waving, hoping to hitch a ride. That person wasn't wearing a hat or carrying a water bottle, just walking along the desert highway like that. This desert highway, while it does have its own unique scenery, doesn't feel beautiful at all in such scorching weather. My dad's heart softened, so he pulled over and let him in. All the way, my dad kept muttering that if this guy didn't get a ride, there was no way he'd make it out of this desert valley. He'd definitely end up with severe heat stroke. As soon as the guy got in the car, he was incredibly grateful. My dad asked the man where he was headed. The man said he was going to the next town, and my dad handed him a bottle of water. They chatted a bit, and the man casually mentioned his name. It was something very common, like Lao Wang or Lao Huang, but my dad didn't catch it clearly.
It turned out this guy had been hitchhiking the whole way because his 90-year-old grandmother was ill. He desperately wanted to see her one last time before she passed away, but he didn't have any money.
But that couldn't stop him. He was determined to stay by his grandmother's bedside. After hearing this, my dad thought it was the most touching story he'd ever heard. It felt just like one of those tear-jerking scenes from a movie. Thinking about the route, my dad decided to take the old road so the hitchhiker wouldn't have to go out of his way.
When they arrived, the guy got out of the car. My dad said a few words of blessing, then drove off on his own.
But not long after, a police car appeared in the rearview mirror, turned on its lights, and signaled for my dad to pull over. He obediently pulled the handbrake and asked the officer what was going on. The officer didn't say anything, just asked to see the driver's license, checked it very carefully, and even had my dad get out of the car. The police searched the car, then walked over and asked my dad, "Did you give a ride to a hitchhiker?" My dad said yes. The officer then asked for the man's name. My dad said he couldn't quite remember, something like Lao Wang or Lao Huang, a very common name. Then the police took out a photo and asked my dad to identify it. To his surprise, the person in the photo was exactly the guy who had just hitched a ride. When my dad nodded to confirm, the officer told him that he needed to take him to the nearest police station to make a statement. It turned out that guy was no ordinary person. He wasn't going to visit his grandmother at all, but was actually a fugitive murderer. He had killed a police officer and was on the run at the time. The police also told my dad that the guy was very likely to hijack a car and kill someone. He would strike as soon as he had the chance. They said my dad was really lucky. The only reason the man didn't attack was probably because he couldn't find the right moment. The reason they stopped my dad's car was because they suspected the fugitive might still be inside. It was only then that my dad realized just how close he had come to death, and he was completely shocked. Back then, he was only in his 20s, naive and foolish, and even prided himself on being kind and brave. That's why he so casually let someone into his car. This incident really changed the way my dad saw people. It made him much more cautious. Looking back, it's actually a good thing that my dad became so careful. Otherwise, I might not even have the chance to tell this story here today.